people! Welcome to another ducking and diving, sleep depriving, energy sapping, finger tapping frenzy of a game known as WWE SuperCard. This is me, Big Jim, flying solo because Ninja Boy is away doing clever learning things at one of those things they call a school. Not a place I ever have to set foot into again, thankfully. Apart from when I drop him off, of course, and pick him up and go and see the teachers when he's either been very good or occasionally very bad. But it's a completely different story. Let's get back to WWE SuperCard. Now, why do I look like a bigger pile of merd than I normally look? It's because I was up at 3:30 this morning chasing this guy. Let's call him up. Alberto Del Rio. Yes, I finally got Alberto Del Rio, and yes, I'm going to be working on him to try and power him up. But when you're so close to moving up to Survivor deck, obviously he's going to be of use for the first few weeks because having a Legendary Pro, there's not going to be too many people who are going to have Survivor Pros. But my God, what an effort it was, I don't mind saying. I hit a bit of a wall through the middle of Jack's Swagger, and I was using a deck that was Epic cards, just Epic Pros and a few Epics that I was trying to power up. And I then moved on to my all-power deck, for want of a better expression. Let's just call it up there. That's my all-power deck. And that, it's the same as last time. After Jack's Swagger and having to get through on all the bottom points, when I started on Alberto Del Rio, the first 3 or 4 matches, 10 pointers, not a problem, and then it was back down to the 2 pointers again. And yes, I was using tokens to, not tokens, title matches to power up with the game, because if I was doing 1 point for a win rather than 2, I think I'd have just lost the will to live, and I certainly wouldn't have got him. Because of course, real life does kick in, and there are things from real life that get in the way, including some YouTube users based around fat birds who seem to have no sense and no respect for the rest of the WWE SuperCard community. But I think they've found out very quickly just how strong our community is and just how weak his followers are, because where was the support? If you go and have a look at his YouTube video, where he's basically had a go at, this is Tubby Emu of course I'm talking about, and he's had a go, under the banner of a parody, he's had a go the whole WWE SuperCard universe, basically. Just look at the comments below. I think there's maybe 2 people who are supporting him. That's his loyal fan base. The rest is you guys. And it's a pleasure to see everyone rallying together and cuffing this fella down. Well done, everyone. I love it. Now then, let's get on with more mundane matters. Or not so mundane as more interesting matters. King of the Ring. I have done a King of the Ring between the last video and this video, and I got The Rock Legendary. I was a finalist, I didn't win it, but I got The Rock, which is good news for me, because not only is he the best Legendary card that you can get outside of the event cards, he's going to be a pro. I just got to the point now, if we just go back to my deck for Road to Glory, you can see there, my bottom card at the moment is a Rusev Epic Pro. Now the reason that Rusev is there is he should actually be ahead of Ziggler. His base stats should have him, once you've pro'd him out, between Bray Wyatt and Dolphy Zig. But he was a rush job. He was a rush job, and I think it was the last Road to Glory, when I was trying to make it an all-pro Epic deck. So I didn't quite boost all of his stats. I think it was... what was it I hadn't boosted? So it was procking and maybe a couple of other bits. It doesn't really matter, does it? It doesn't really matter. Rusev, he at the bottom there with his lesser stats than he should have, he's going to be the cannon fodder for when The Rock comes in as a Legendary Pro. Now, if you start looking at the cards that I've still got to max out, I know I've got a Miz in there, in among the Epics. There's a couple of others. I did have a Kofi Kingston. I think I've fed him into someone now. Basically, anyone whose base stats are below Rusev's right now, well, certainly below Stardust's, it's not even worth proing them up, because they're not going to make your top 16 for Road to Glory. And you don't need a bigger deck than 16 superstars, so you know, if you've got them fed up, then feed them into other cards. It's that simple. But there's a good point that that's arisen here. When I first heard about the customisation of cards that Cat Daddy were going to do, and by the way, some great effort that people are doing already, customising some cards just using Photoshop and showing us what they should look like. So well done you. Especially Mariotti, he's one. If you go and have a look at his Twitter account, But basically, when it was first mooted that we could change these cards, you could change the way they look. And basically what you can do is you can take, so you've got the Rock and you've got a couple of versions of him. You've got an ultra rare version and you've got the legendary version, and you prefer the ultra rare picture, you will be able to swap that into the legendary version. It's that simple. But you can only do it within seasons, so you can't take a season 1 card and put it into season 2 unless that season 1 card has already made the journey over through the loyalty fusion chamber, thanks to Long John Silver and the pirates. And by the way, they're getting very itchy feet down there. They're wondering when that first fusion chamber is coming in for season 2. They're getting ready for that plundering and the picking of those superstars. But again, I digress. When I first did hear about this, I was like, I don't care about customising cards. Fix the glitches. Stop the games from crashing. Stop ruining all my blooming title matches that I'm losing and bouts that I'm losing because the game freezes halfway through. Having calmed down, because I can calm down now and again, especially when Ninja Boy's at school, it gives me a chance just to think about life in general. Having calmed down, what it did make me think was, if you look at this deck, for example, I've got 2 versions of Stone Cold Steve Austin. That's a properly maxed out version, albeit that I'd concentrated on his lesser stats for that one. And this version is my only other Epic Pro that's not been pro'd properly. He hasn't got all of his ability maxed out because it was in the days when you had to get 30 points on your procking, just as much as you need to get it on all the other stats. Of course, these days it's 15. So where this would come in useful, I always used to say in season 1, I don't want to have more than one of the same card in my deck, even if it was a pro. Even if it was something like Shawn Michaels or The Rock or one of the better cards, I didn't want to have 2 of the same card in my decks. It was just an aesthetic thing. It was just a fussy way. Maybe call it an OCD, who knows. Just the way I wanted to play. I didn't want to have more of the same face. Now this time round, as you can see, I've sold my soul to the devil because I've got my 2 Stone Cold Steve Austins and I've actually got a 5th card that needs powering up. But what it did make me think then, if you can customise, what you can do is, for an instant recognition, without having to check the stats, especially if your eyesight's troubling you because you're getting older like me, what you could do is leave that Stone Cold Steve Austin, who's properly powered up, as the original Epic artwork, and change this Stone Cold Steve Austin, which is a lesser card, to perhaps a lesser card picture. So that way, even though you've got ostensibly the same card, you can instantly recognise which is which, as opposed to having to peer at all the numbers. It's only a little thing, but actually, thinking about it, so if you've got 3 or 4 of the same card in your deck right now, you can be looking at it and thinking, well, I've got the potential here to change it all around. Look a lot nicer. So I've won myself over with that one. I've sort of thought it through and thought, actually, yeah, it's not a bad idea. I'll let them off. So, actually, thumbs up for Cat Daddy on that one. Well done. Enjoy that. So then, what I need to do now is... Oh, there goes the phone. What I need to do now is go and answer the phone. See who it is. Maybe it's someone offering me that £1 million cheque for doing nothing. Let me go and check. And I'm back. Now then, you could probably tell that was somebody going old school, ringing on the landline. None of this mobile phone rubbish, none of this texting, WhatsApping, Snapchatting and all that other stuff, tweeting. Just old school, landline, solid. Oh, who was that? It was my dear old mum. Of course, it was someone of a certain age who tends to prefer the landline to any other medium of communication. Could have been carrier pigeon. This particular occasion, it was the landline. But anyway, I digress. You don't need to know that. What I need to do is get on with some exhibition, because I've got to power up my Alberto Del Rio. Number 1 is fully statted out. So number 2's just played a couple of games, as you can see. And also The Rock, who's here. Again, his Rock number 1, Legendary, is fully statted and powered up. And Rock number 2, again, having just arrived overnight with Alberto, sort of a job lot. He needs doing too. So I'm just going to play a few exhibition matches and see where we go. Neymar. So we've got a Brazilian footballer playing WWE SuperCard. Thomas the Tank Engine, Devil 1984, and McJoshi. Let's go for McJoshi. Let's play McJoshi. Probably not Scottish at all, but they played quite a few matches though, so it'd be interesting to see what sort of team they can kick out. So, both of the divas here, Cameron and Naomi, Nimini, I've already got a Nimini Pro, Legendary Pro, who's a properly executed Legendary Pro. But it's worth just doing her up in case I get another, because again, as I've been saying, Legendary Pro cards are going to be beating all these single Survivor cards that are going to be knocking around early doors. And the Cameron card, I know Cameron is the worst Legendary Diva you can get, and possibly the worst Legendary cards you can get. I think there's possibly one male WWE style below her. Anyway, she ain't that good, man. She ain't that good. But it's still worth doing, because if I do pick her up sometime over the next couple of days, then as a card, I don't mean actually go and pick her up, take her out. Nice meal perhaps, a couple of glasses of wine, see how things go. Then she's worth having. That took a long time to get that sentence out, didn't it? This was a bit of a life sentence, but I eventually reached the end of it. So, let's see what we can pick up from here. Now, I still have not had... Oh, look at that. Isn't that an exciting lot? I still have not had a legendary pull from any deck. What I have had was the first Naomi that I had, which was the reward you get, or the freebie, whatever you want to call it, for reaching legendary tier. Since then, nothing. Not a single card. Now, I have mentioned it a couple of times now, I'm not letting it bug me, but I'm going to mention it again, that I have dropped down to Epic a couple of times to work on certain cards, and at that moment I've pulled some Epic cards off the deck. So effectively, at the time, that was a card relevant to the top tier that I was playing at. So I reckon that scrubbed my legendary chances, and that's happened to me twice now in the space of the last 4 weeks. So I just don't think I'm going to get a legendary pull from a deck, but it does show the importance of doing King of the Ring and the events, because that's where I've got all my cards from. Right, Cardi's the Mar. What I'm probably going to do with Alberto Del Rio, if you look at my Ride Back card there, he was very strong on power and toughness. If you look at my Finn Balor, very good on speed. So what I'm probably going to do with Alberto Del Rio is play on the charisma side of things, because he's got good charisma stats. So my plan there, as you can see, 888, 888. So once he's fully maxed out, pro'd out, etc, 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 charisma is going to be as boosted as I can get it, and that's going to suit my deck. Now, I've already seen people saying, oh, what's the best stats? What's the best stats you can get for... Jim, what's the best stats for Alberto Del Rio? Do you know the best stats for Alberto Del Rio? Yeah, the best stats are what works for you. Just have a look at your other cards, your top cards, see how you're going to use him, whether he's going to be tag teaming with someone, or however you anticipate you're going to use him. What strengths have you got in your deck? What weaknesses have you got? And obviously, if his strengths are power and charisma, and you're lacking on speed, it's going to be pointless trying to boost him out for speed, because you're not going to be able to match the top cards. But charisma is one of his 2 top stats. Oh, do you know what I've just noticed? While I've been talking to you, for about the 4th time, the iPad has gone off. And I'm getting pretty fed up of having to keep reconnecting the damn thing. I'm going to give it one more go, because I've only just started this. Hopefully it's not dropped out too much while I was talking to you. But modern technology, I don't know, what with the actual game itself, with all its freezing, so it's already frozen once on me, then it crashed out while I was talking, it actually crashed off the iPad, so those 2 were Cat Daddy's fault, and then the other 2, I guess, must be AirServer's fault, because AirServer is the program I use to beam it onto the desktop. Well, let's see if it's just saved where I was. It was only 0-0, wasn't it? Right, okay, and we're back in the room. Now, can you, if it goes off again, can you just yell? Because I'm getting a bit fed up with this. There's a few things I'm getting fed up with, and don't forget, I've not had much sleep. And I've got quite a few things on my plate at the moment. I'm obviously still suffering with this back injury, still waiting for an op, still trying to find some work to do. It's not very easy being a sports journalist when you're sat at home on your backside all day. You need to get out and about, and I can't do that. So, yeah, the last thing I need is for everything at home to start falling apart. I'm allowed to fall apart. My job can fall apart, the rest of my life can fall apart, but WWE SuperCard, that's got to be the one constant. And Ninja Boy, of course. He's the one who keeps me going. He's my rock. He's the rock, he's here for me. Right, anyway, as I was saying, It's no good boosting up stats if that's not one of the card's strengths. But for me, when you look at these cards, and Charisma is very much... Oh, I didn't need to play him then, actually. I was just tapping on him to look at the card. Charisma is the stat that I'm going to be boosting up the most for Alberto Del Rio. And by that, I mean he's going to get the full three chicken nuggets, those tokens, on both of the individual cards, and then give him the full welly when it comes into the pro card. You don't have to do that. You can do whatever you want, whatever suits you best. I'm constantly nervously looking over there now to see what's going on. As I said, it doesn't matter so much about winning these, it's all about trying to power up these boys. Power up the boys! Get them ready for action. Well, I do have to say, it's all about getting ready for action. Obviously, we've got the team coming either this week or next week. I still don't know. It's now 12, so it's a bit further on than when I last mentioned it, unless that's one of the bits that crashed, in which case you won't know what I'm talking about. It's now 12, and that's just gone midday Monday. Now, at this stage, we don't know if it's team event this week or next week. I can't imagine it's going to be this week, because there was talk of it starting on a Monday. But they might do the release for this week, so we can see how it's going to work. Who knows? We shall find out soon. You may already know. I don't know. Yeah, so I'm just powering these guys up. Well, I might as well just use the rock. It doesn't matter if I've lost. Just helps. If there's any matches where he's using 2 stats, might as well use them up on the cards that need powering up. Get a 2-in-1 hit, and Alicia Fox. So I think I shall do just one more game here, because I just don't trust this game not to crash out again. We'll play Davey, was that? Was it Davey? Dave. Dave, alright Dave? I'm playing Dave. And see how we get on. And I'll be back a bit later this week with Ninja Boy in tow to either discuss what's been unleashed on us team-wise, or to look at what this week's event is going to be, or just about chat about life in general. Now, I hope you've caught our FIFA 16 video from the weekend. Look, I'm just chucking these guys in. I know they're losing, but it's boosting 2 stats at a time, so can't complain about that. I hope you caught our FIFA 16 video over the weekend. If you see the Real Madrid, I'm playing Real Madrid and he's playing PSG. There's one hell of an ending. I mean, if I could save a lot of time, wind through to about the 85th minute and then just pick it up from there. We obviously have a bit of fun beforehand, but that's when it really gets going. So I hope you've had a chance to catch that, and if not, there'll be a link to it at the end of this video. And what else have we got going? I've still got to do WWE Immortals. I'm afraid that's taken a back seat whilst we've been doing FIFA, and while I've been dealing with the real world and dealing with Alberto Del Rio, who I needed to get. So there's some of that coming up. We did a Jurassic World last week, so there probably won't be another one of those for a couple of weeks. What else do we do? Oh, we've got Q&A to do, haven't we? Oh, I forgot about that. Yeah, Ask BLD. You've all been hashtagging furiously away with some questions. So we better get answering those as well. In fact, I'll try and record that with him this evening when I pick him up from school. So yeah, there's a lot to be done. But of course, our primary interest, that on 2K16. We've got it. We just haven't really had a chance to do anything with it. We're planning on doing a 30-man Royal Rumble. But I want to encompass a big gym and a Ninja Boy character. Now, I definitely have not had a chance to sit down and create new characters like I did for the 2011 SmackDown v Raw, which is what you see in the opening titles. The opening titles were created, there's a couple of versions of them, were created using SmackDown v Raw for the PS3 from 4 years ago. That gave you the engine where you could basically design your own superstars. It's something that they dropped out over the last couple of years, and they brought it back in again for this year. Thank goodness. I just haven't had a chance to do anything with it. Right, so I seem to be playing another game. I can't help myself. I said I was going to stop. What am I doing? I'm addicted. This is the problem with this game. When you're sitting there on a Sunday evening or Monday morning at 3 AM, because obviously UK time it finishes at 4 AM, you're so used to actually walking around the house. It's like trying to make a sandwich with your elbows while you're playing the game. You're tapping away, and then you're on the phone to someone like this. You're tapping away. You're watching the telly, tapping away. It gets to the point where you forget you've got to actually stop now and again. Put this thing down, Big Jim. Put it down. Don't do any more. You drive yourself mad. Start talking to yourself like you have been for the past year. Yeah, we actually started, would you believe, BadLadDad as a channel. We started on the 31st of December 2014. So it was the very last day of last year. The plan was to start on January the 1st, but I'd also planned that we'd, rather than just start with one video, we'd better make 2 or 3. So we'd got, at least, you know, get a little panel of scrollable videos. If we at least got 4, then you've got 3 on the panel and 1 more makes it the 4. So it doesn't look like a completely empty channel. And that paid dividends, because in our first month we got 6 subscribers. I think 2 of those were me with different accounts. One was possibly my sister. So it was a very slow start, but things have picked up a bit since then. So we really need to do like a New Year's Eve 1-year anniversary party special doobry type thing, really, don't we? So how we do that, whether we do the highlights of the first year, I mean, it's a bit of a cliche to do that, but they're always good fun, aren't they? And let's face it, every TV channel on December the 31st is going to be doing its highlights of each year. So we could do that. Don't know what else we could do. Live streaming, I'm still looking at the possibility of that. Now what I would say is, with a little bit of cash that I've got left over that we're living on at the moment, while I'm basically out of work, apart from the bit I'm doing for Yahoo, which is about enough to feed an earthworm, I've actually bought a new desktop PC. I was going to get another MacBook Pro, an up-to-date one, but my MacBook is a bit old, but it works fine, so I couldn't really justify replacing that, whereas our PC, the fans on it sound like it's a Boeing 747 about to take off, and you've got the 2 of us trying to shout over the top of it. So that's I've replaced that, and I've installed a new PC slowly. The back's not been played up, but it's one of these all-in-one jobs. It's very powerful, and it's very neat. So I'm going to test it this week and see how it is for live streaming, because we're still getting people asking us if we're going to do some live streams, whether we test it through YouTube, whether it's a bit of twitching, who knows. I need to look at it and see what the capabilities are, see what we can do. Right, now I've very successfully started what must now be the final game. This has got to be the end. This has got to be the end, my friend. This is the end. Otherwise I'm going to be going till Christmas. Let's do that. What can I get you to tell me today? And I'm assuming most of you have tweeted us to let us know how you got on with Road to Glory. And what else could we ask? I know we don't have, or neither one of us has, the legendary Michael Jackson card. If you don't know what the legendary Michael Jackson card is, it's a page. It's possibly the worst ever picture of one of the most attractive young ladies in the WWE roster. Among the divas, and they've got this card that makes her look like a ghost. So if I had that card, that would be one that I would change straight away. I wouldn't want the original picture. But what I'll do for now, I guess what I could do is, you'll have noticed my old familiar avatar of the Warrior, which is the picture of Warrior from last season's Ultra Rare card, the Season 1 Ultra Rare card. Now, I kept hold, I've still got the Pro version of that Ultra Rare card in my Season 1 deck, but I kept hold of a single Ultra Rare Warrior from Season 1 that I used in the Loyalty Fusion Chamber for Season 2, just so I could get that particular avatar over. Now, as we are going to be able to transfer avatars over for Season 2, I'm hoping that includes the ones that we've transferred over from Season 1. Apparently that is the case. So what I could do is I could transfer him over to the Legendary Warrior card that I've got at the moment. So I actually keep him as an active card rather than just tucked away as he is right now. Why do I keep getting Charisma? I've got, as I said, that's what I'm going to be doing with Alberto Del Rio. I've got 2 cards sitting there maxed on power, toughness and speed. And they keep giving me flipping Charisma. Right, come on then. That'll do, laddie. Let's move on with our lives. Right, that should be it. Let's just see what we get. As you see, I'm not even bothering to see if I'm going to get a legendary card out of this, because it ain't going to happen. Ain't never going to happen. Ever, ever again. That Murphy looks a bit like me, doesn't he? Yeah. He looks a lot fitter than me, obviously. Right, there we go. There we have it. That's Big Jim signing off for today, Mondays. WWE SuperCard. I'm trying to remember the date, but I can't, so I can't say that. So there we have it. I hope you've enjoyed this slightly different than normal WWE SuperCard episode. Predominantly because there's no Ninja Boy knocking around, and also because I'm doing an awful lot more chatting and an awful lot more of game crashing than we normally get, and interrupting from the phone. But it just shows life is busy sometimes, and it's difficult trying to squeeze these things in, but we do our best. And don't forget, yes, we get a few quid from the adverts that appear around these videos, but you know, we only get like 2, 3, maybe 4,000 hits per video. You're only talking pennies here, people. It's not enough money to live on. So all this work and effort that we put into these videos, it's not because we're getting money out of them. We're doing it because we love being part of the WWE community. We also love playing FIFA and everything else. But WWE SuperCard is the thing that really got us going on YouTube, and that's something that will always stay with us, always be in our hearts. The fact that the community picked us up with both hands and just let us run away and do what we want to do, which is why I'm doing these videos for you now. So, you know, we do appreciate all the support you give us, all the comments that you leave down below, when you even just telling us things you've already told us on Twitter. I don't mind seeing it twice. And I do try and reply to every single one of you. Not the rude ones, get the occasional rude ones. But even on that note, thank you to all of those people who step in if you do see someone trying to be a bit of an a-hole, because a lot of you have got our back. And again, we appreciate that too. So, I'll say what I normally say at this stage. If you want to find out what's coming out, when, the best way to get up-to-date news is on our Twitter account, @BadLadDad. There is Instagram as well, @BadLadDad, with a few behind-the-scenes pictures, when I can find 2 seconds to try and do something. And of course, the best way of seeing what videos are coming out, please subscribe down below. Share it with your friends, your family, anyone who knows you, anyone who doesn't know you, anyone you've not even met yet. Please, just spread the word. Get us out there. And the whole WWE SuperCard community can take over the world. And people like Tubby Emu can go